If you watched me before, you know I'm not one much for intros. The only thing is, this is mostly going to be focused on Regis because I've done a lot of stuff on Devin Haney in the past. We will talk about Devin Haney, but most of it's going to be on Regis. Let's get straight into it. So this moment is an important encapsulation of why Devin is going to be so successful. As you can tell by the title, you can tell who I think is going to win. Regis feints an entry, which we're going to look at right here. So he's going to kind of like feint with his feet. He acts like he's entering. He's not really entering. And then what does he do after? So he does a feint, the real thing, and then he does the real thing after, which that's a normal thing in combat sports. You feint the fake and then you do the real. And so when he steps in, he does a shuffle. So he's shuffling in, closing range. Zorilla sees it. It's quite telegraphed. It's a little bit obvious, and by the time he's stepping in, Zorilla already sees it. He's countering not just with that left hook, but with this right hand as well. So he counter with a combo. But specifically, Zorilla sees that. He gets out of the way of the overhand. He slips and counters with that his own overhand. And so that moment, we're going to talk more about those entries later on. In my opinion, the reason why Devin is highly probable of being hurt in this fight is because I expect him to be aggressive like how he's been in his past few fights. There's been a trend towards him growing in aggression. And so that's what Regis wants. Like he pressure fights a lot, meaning he comes forward, but he's coming forward with the intent of counterpunching. His end goal generally, and the way he gets people out of there, is through counterpunching. Kind of like Tank, but a different style, but same kind of idea. So walking people down, and then when he gets, or hopefully if they come to him, which is why I'm showing this example, when he gets a reaction. And also he has that low guard, baiting and traps. We'll talk more about that as well. When he gets that reaction, then he's looking to counter. And normally he would come over with his left hand, but he hesitates, and then he tries to come with his left hook over top, which actually does get through the guard. And with more aggression means more opportunities for somebody like Regis. Like I said, I think Regis is more of a natural counter puncher, and so he's going to be looking for these moments and these exchanges. When they're exchanging in mid-range, I don't think Devin Haney's been in there with somebody as dangerous as Regis as far as punching power, and this is where things can get dangerous for Devin Haney in the mid-range and inside exchanges. Devin's dominant jab, as usual, will be the key to him winning comfortably. If he allows Regis to begin slowly creeping into his space, you'll get a moment like right here where Regis is, slowly entering, right? And then what happens is he's going, once he finds it, notice how he's not going to shuffle this time. He's already kind of in the range he wants. So he just has to step. When he takes that step, that right foot is outside Zorilla's lead foot, which means he's cutting off that exit. So when Zorilla tries to get out of there, he's already kind of stuck, and Regis is stepping into that left hand. He catches him right here. He's not badly hurt or anything like that, but he's knocked off balance and he's caught off guard, more importantly. And those are the type of things that Devin is going to have to watch out for. And that's what I'm saying. That jab can be a deterrent, even though it's southpaw orthodox and the jab is a different kind of dynamic. You see when Devin, when he fought Loma, Loma's jab was landing because of Devin's low lead shoulder, low lead arm, and that's the type of guard he fights out of. Regis Prograis, same type of thing. Regis fights out of that low lead arm type of guard, and that jab can come over top and start controlling the fight, keeping Regis from closing the distance like how he did here. An important note is that the way, when I watch this fight, when I look at the fight, an important note, when you watch the Zorilla fight, the thing that gave Regis the most trouble was closing the distance, and that was mostly because of Zorilla's movement, not standing in front of Regis, particularly lateral movement, making Regis have to cut the ring off. And so Devin is going to have to implement some of that and not, be as flat-footed. But I don't think the way he fought Loma, we're going to talk about that later, which is why I'm not using too much Loma footage. The way he fought Loma, I don't think he's really going to fight like that here. I think he's going to be a lot more defensive, and I think he's going to be a lot less on the front foot as far as pressure goes. At the top of the list of important factors in this fight is Haney's jab, but another important factor is Regis's his traps, and one of them, for example, was a high guard trap. But this is normally his trap is with his arms down, his hands down to bait and attack from his opponent. He used a lot of bait and counter. So right here, he baits with the high guard, tries to get him to send that jab out so he can throw his shot, and he's gonna try and close the distance here. Once he lets go with a shot, he tries to step through and keep, cutting off, but you need more balanced than what he was showing in this particular outing, which is why he had so much trouble really, building up offense. But for Regis, I would say the top two things for him to win this fight is to close the distance successfully and consistently, and then also those bait and counter type traps. I mentioned that low guard, and it's relying on reflexes. It has a lot of offensive advantages, but it's relying on reflexes. So when it gets to those later rounds, and even early, which we're gonna look at that early shot, when he starts to slow down or when he gets surprised, those shots are gonna come through with nothing to stop him or slow him down. And these moments are important because even though Zarilla's touching him in these particular moments, the timing, particularly timing his forward momentum, his forward pressure, so he sees Regis begin to come forward, or he catches him at the beginning of that movement. And Regis is again, what is he doing? He's coming forward, hands down, and Zarilla times that entry. And no matter how hurt he was or hurt he wasn't, the point is that those shots are available. That's the whole point. And those shots, whether they hurt him or not, they can slow him down, slow down the momentum, allow Devin to take over. So that's something Regis is going to have to work with as well defensively, being aware and coming in responsible. As I said earlier, I think the Loma approach was unique, and I think he's not going to have as much forward pressure. I don't think he's going to stand there in front of Regis as much as he did Loma. And on top of that, like I said earlier as well, I already covered a lot of stuff related to Devin and Southpaw and stuff, and we're definitely going to cover more after the fight. So we're going to take a quick look at this, but we're going to keep it brief. One thing that's great about Haney is his wide arsenal. And then you're going to see some intelligent tactics right here as well. I think this is a great moment, another encapsulation. So he sees Loma give him body language signs that he's going to come forward, and you notice he begins to react before Loma even begins stepping forward. So he's ready. What does he do? He backs up, hands up, and as he's backing up, he's putting that pressure on that back foot, removing weight off that front foot, so he's further away from the attack. But Loma stepping in, and he lets Loma step through, and when Loma steps through, he throws that cross, counters the entry, and that type of instance, that type of example, this type of moment in a fight is one of the key dynamics that I think is going to allow Devin Haney to be successful. As Regis is trying to close the distance, the different kinds of counters Devin is going to have waiting for him, I think is going to slow him down. It's probably why he's going to win a pretty clean decision. But yeah, this video is already Devin Haney biased because I favor him to win. Now, I don't, if I like either fighter more, it's probably Regis, just because stylistically. But regardless, when this fight happens, the post-fight, I'm gonna give far more as far as analysis, so don't worry about somebody not getting too much this and that. No one cares. Here we go. Something Devin should watch out for is the left straight, which he has issues with in the past, and the jab over top, which I don't know if I mentioned that in the past before the Lomachenko fight, but it was definitely shown after. Yeah, that power jab over top could be an issue, but even though Regis isn't much of a jabber in that sense, it could still be there as an option, and the lead hand in general could be there. Like I said, I don't expect this to look like the Loma fight. I think he's going to fight a little bit different, but let's get into the fight simulation, a specialty of this channel. We're going to simulate a kind of idea of some of the rounds of the fight. Here we go. Devin comes out first round, standing his ground for a little while as Regis is twitching, feinting, shifting his arms around, moving his head. Devin begins throwing out stiff jabs, a couple of them grazing, a couple of them missing. As Regis begins to advance, Devin begins to circle out to his left side. Regis tries chasing him down. He's not letting anything significant get out when they're in that first round. They both get out of it relatively unscathed. Second round, it begins to amp up, but mostly the same thing, just more power shots from Devin. But he's also trying to target the body every now and then, and he's also trying to probe with that lead hand, keep it out there where possible. Regis is trying to cut off that angle that Devin is taking, and sometimes he's cornering Devin, but Devin is slick and getting away from most of the combos. They get to that third round, mostly the same as the second round, but Regis is starting to catch up to Devin a little bit, and Devin gets hit with a couple shots, but still everything's mostly calm. We get to those middle rounds, it's going to be a lot of the same patterns. Devin catching Regis upon the entry. Regis is struggling to find entries, but every now and then he'll shuffle in or jump in with a shot that surprises Haney, and Haney has to get defensive and get out of there, reset. Then towards the end of the middle rounds, 8, 9, 10, something like that, Regis gets caught with a jab. He pauses, begins shifting his arms and heads, and his arms and head. He shuffles in. Haney backs up, tries to step back counter, but this time his back is against the wall, or against the ropes in this case. Regis catches him, hurts him bad. Whether he gets dropped or not, who knows? But you know, for the sake of this, I think that Haney will probably survive, remain cautious for the rest of the fight, and win a decision. But as the title implies, I do think Devin will win. I just think Regis will catch him sooner or later. So that Regis's jab could be a problem, but those mid-range and inside exchanges are where things could get interesting. See you for the Saturday fight. Immortality Serum out, Fights and Science.